Hello, my good YouTube friends. Again, as always, I'm back to review another chapter of Tabitha Brown's book, Feeding the Soul because it's my business. And today we're going over chapter 7, which is No Shame. No Shame. Okay, I'm sorry, I thought I heard somebody at the door. This No Shame chapter is about choosing you and not feeling any shame as you choose you, right? Like, in this chapter, she tells us a story about how, like, you know, she was a mother and she had her daughter Choice. And like, I just love that she called her daughter Choice. It's like, she speaks about decisions and choices. It's just a beautiful choice of names. You know what I mean? And she wanted to take an acting class. She had moved all the way to LA with her husband and her baby to take acting classes. And the opportunity to take an acting class arose, but she was going to feel guilty about, you know, not being home to cook dinner, you know, every Monday night. You know what I mean? And that was stressing her out, and she was starting to feel bad and whoop-de-whoop-wop-de-wop, whatever. But she told herself, she's like, I moved to LA to act. Not that she wasn't going to be a mother, you know what I mean? But not to hold herself back from doing the things she called herself to do. And she wasn't going to allow guilt or shame to keep her from doing that, right? And so she had to let it go. And at first, when she told her husband, he was upset about it. He was like, what you mean you're not going to be here to cook dinner and put your child to bed? You know what I mean? And she felt bad about those things, right? But she felt better about that acting class. I know that's right. Okay? And that's just what this is about. You know, when you chase your happiness, do what makes you happy, and let the rest of the pieces fall where they may. Okay, Miss Mamas? Okay, you hear me? Chase your happiness, chase your goodness, chase your joy. And again, the divine, I feel like this is more of a message for me because sometimes I do things that make me happy, but I don't know if they necessarily make me happy. They make me feel good, but they may not necessarily contribute to my happiness because I'm talking about addictions and things. You know, I'm always going to bring it there. That's my trauma I'm dealing with, right? And I always got to reiterate that there are things that feel good and there are things that are good for you. Okay, if it don't apply, let it fly. So one of the things that got kind of tough for me, you know what I mean, that I had to stop doing, you know what I mean, is that like I'm a very active person, and almost like every like roommate dynamic that I've had, I've been cleaner than everybody else that I'm living with. You know what I mean? More organized, more structured, more regular. The only people I haven't done that more than is probably like my parents. But even then, I feel like my mama, she a little cuckoo crazy for Cocoa Puffs when it comes to cleaning. But anyway, when it comes to my roommates and all the roommates I've had, I've always been a much better cleaner. You know what I mean? And I would get home and pour myself into like making sure that the house looks all right and the house feels good and all that good stuff, right? Because I feel good with a clean house. And if the house isn't clean, I'm not going to feel good in the house. And if I don't feel good in the house, then I'm just not going to feel good. You know what I mean? And then not even that, I just kind of like the responsibility of the house, fourth house Capricorn, if you know what that means. There's just responsibility. I may not want to clean the dishes. I may not want to check the mail. I may not want to make sure that the bills get paid on time. Or I do want to do that. But the thing is, like, I may not want to do those things. Or I may not want to do the laundry. But if they need to get done, that's just a part of being an adult and having a household and paying rent. You know what I mean? There are domestic and household duties that need to be taken care of. Right? And so I just take care of them. You know what I mean? Regardless of how I feel about it. But, you know, it took me a while to realize that not everybody feels that way. And I was doing it to a certain extent to where, you know, I was sacrificing the things that I wanted to do, like content creation or like acting or like finding a job or leaving the house and doing something fun because I wanted to make sure that the house was in order. Right? But it got to a point, you know, where I just said, you know, I'm not going to do it anymore. At the very least, I'm not going to sacrifice my workouts. I'm not going to sacrifice my hiking trips. I'm not going to sacrifice, you know, me going out and meeting new people and going on dates just because I got to save money for bills and y'all can take that how it applies, right? But I was doing more than the other people I was living with. You know what I mean? And I got tired of doing things for other people. And kind of how like Tabitha Brown talks in this chapter, when I decided to do that and I decided to live in alignment with my joy and my happiness and the things that brought me, you know, newness and adventure, I began to feel better and everybody else adjusted. You know what I mean? I think one of the biggest things was that like I was always like buying food, you know what I mean? And like even the little things like salt and like oil and pepper and milk and eggs and butter and bread that like, you know, that sometimes I felt like the people I was living with were taking for granted. I just stopped buying them. And you know what I mean? And they begin to realize, like, oh, you know, Maurice hasn't gone grocery shopping and like now we don't have these things. You know what I mean? What's going to happen to us if we don't buy these things? And then, you know, they change their behavior. And again, like in Tabitha Brown's position, her husband started cooking and putting her daughter to bed. And then, you know, and then she was there to put her daughter to bed and to cook 6 other nights out of the week. You know what I mean? But I think the beautiful thing about this is not feeling shame or guilt about doing the things that bring you happiness, and truly allowing, you know, for there to be energetic shifts or energetic like realignments for you, for the things that make you happy and the things that you want to live in. And don't worry about how other people are going to feel and what other people are going to do and, you know, the gap or the missing out that may occur. Because people are going to adjust. People are going to take care of themselves. And the thing that I've been like reminding myself for quite some time is that nobody's going to die. Like, nobody's going to die. Dying is a little extreme. You know, nobody's going to die if you go for a walk or go hiking instead of cooking breakfast for your 17 kids first in the morning. The kids are going to wake up and figure it out. I promise you they will. Or fill in the blank. You know what I mean? So yeah, what are your dreams and what are your intentions is something else that came through in this chapter. And before we move on from that last point, I just want to bring up, you know, what Tabitha Brown's mother told her. Don't start nothing you don't want to maintain because they'll always expect it. Remember that, okay? Because I had to learn that one too. And then like, I listened to this chapter quite some time ago, but after reading it, that's when things started changing in my like roommate dynamic household. And it just shifted. But yeah, the other thing is that like chase your dreams and your intentions, right? Again, as she was chasing her dream of like acting, she had to again remind and realign herself that this is what I want to do. These are my dreams and I have to intend to chase them. I have to intend to manifest them. I have to intend to bring them to fruition and act in that. You know what I mean? As there's something about this about like not being self-sacrificial, not sacrificing the things that you want and the things that you enjoy and the things that you desire just to keep other people happy. You know what I mean? Don't sacrifice your own needs, wants, or desires for other people. Make sure that your things get put into place first, and then everything else will come. Everything else will come. Everything else will work itself out if you allow it to. Yes, my loves? Yeah, when you want to do something for you, do it. Everything else will adjust. And say that with your whole chest. I think that's an affirmation, right? When I want to do something for me, I will do it, and everything else will adjust. When I want to do something for me, I will do it, and everything else will adjust. One more time with me. When I want to do something for me, I will do it, and everything else will adjust. I gotta add that to like, I'm gonna write a book of like affirmations, or like an affirmation oracle deck. Would y'all be interested in that? If y'all would like that, let me know down in the comment section when it's available. I've already got a couple like collected. Oh, this is the other thing. And it's funny that this came up as well. This also came up in the book. I'm sorry, something's in my eye. But it also came up in a podcast I was listening to today. But she says, don't let fear or ugly what ifs keep you from doing what you need to do for you. Again, going back to her example of like, what if I'm not there to feed my kid? You know, she's going to starve. What if I'm not there, you know, to tuck my baby into bed? She's going to think I'm a horrible mother. What if I don't put groceries in the cabinet? My roommates are going to hate me. They're all lies. They're all lies that like your ego and your shadow is trying to convince you to keep you from, you know, these insecure parts of ourselves are trying to like sabotage us, right? Just call that part of yourself like, it's okay. If that happens, we'll handle it when it gets here, right? I love doing that. You know what I mean? When like I start to have fear or anxieties creep up, that's okay. If that happens, we'll handle it when it gets here. You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, it never gets here. I would even say 10 times out of 10. Like our minds are creative, girl. They're 10 times more creative than what actually happens in reality. 10 times out of 10, it's never that bad. It's never that bad. But that's also what I was hearing. Like worrying about things like Myron Golden. I'll talk about Myron Golden. I'll live la ding long, okay? But he says that like worrying about things and stressing about things, you know, or worrying about if something is going to work or if it's going to fail actually takes energy away from you. It takes away from the energy that you would be using to make it work. Excuse me, truth burp. Does that make sense? You know, so if you're, so like, let's just an example. is my oracle deck going to be successful, right? I could worry about and say, what if it doesn't sell? What if nobody purchases it? Or what if I don't have the money? What if I don't like the card stock? Or what if I don't have enough ideas? What if I'm inexperienced? All that energy I'm pouring into those ugly what ifs are actually taking away from the energy I could be using to figuring out to making sure that it's going to work. What's my marketing plan going to be? You know what I mean? How am I going to model my deck after other decks? What other oracle decks am I using, and how many cards do they have in there? How many more sayings do I need to make my oracle deck work? What if I make it beautiful? You know what I mean? What if I generate an emailing list from this very YouTube channel? You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we haunt ourselves by thinking about all the ugly what ifs and how things may not work, instead of thinking, how will they work? You know, what can happen? You know, not what if it goes wrong, what if it goes right? What if it goes right? Yes, my loves? But yeah, I think that's it. The last thing I just want to put on your radar from this chapter is fill up yourself with love. Yeah, I'm not sure where that even came from, but I wrote it down in my notes, and I think we should all take ourselves away from that. Fill yourself up with love, because we all need a little bit more of that these days. Yes, my loves. All right, but that's all I have for you. Again, let me know if you're reading along, you're following along with the book chapter. Let me know what your takeaways were from the chapter, or maybe even from this YouTube video. But as always, I love you. Hit the thumbs up button if you found value out of this video. Let me know how you're feeling in the comment section, and subscribe, you know, to see when the next video comes out, and or to let me know what other books you would like me to do a review on. Yes, my loves. All right, that's all. I'll talk to y'all later. And until next time,